Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is Zero from TechDragon.info, and today we're going to take a look at the test server. This is going to be a two-part video. Tomorrow we'll take a look at all the new Czechoslovakian tanks, but today we'll look at all the changes and the HD-ified versions of tanks. So let's get started out here with the Japanese Hago. The Hago has been HD-ified, although I'm not entirely sure because the fenders are actually straight and not bent for once, so not entirely sure if this HD model is fully finished, but yeah, supposedly it's HD. Moving over to the K-knee, again we see the same trend here, no bent fenders. Maybe the Japanese just drive better. I guess that must be it, because every other HD-ified tank has bent fenders, as we'll see in a second. There's multiple ways to check if a model's HD. You can check the track wheels. If they're actually round, then it's HD. The barrel you can't really see, but if there's rifling in the barrel, then it's actually HD. If the barrel is actually round, it's HD. You can't really tell with the barrel this small, but usually when you can zoom in a bit further into the barrel, you can. So yeah, that is for the Japanese. Moving over to the Chinese, we have the Chiha. Hey, look, his fenders are straight as well, but they're way up there. No, the back ones are good as well. Wow, maybe they've stopped bending all the fenders. So, yeah, low tier tank. Don't really think a lot of people will enjoy this thing or play it a lot, so don't think it's that interesting. Moving on to the WZ-131. Oh, there we go. Bent fender. There it is. Yep. Okay, it's still a thing. Yep, that one's well. Looking mighty fine. Hoping they're doing the Type 62 sometime soon, because it's a lot of the same, I would think, model. Like, they don't have to change that much up for the Type 62. Although the front is definitely different, but yeah, looking good. And the WZ-111 has been HD-ified as well. Definitely a bent fender. Like, really? They put no effort into that. They hit the same pole twice with both fenders or something. I don't get it. Why these things always have to be damaged. Anywho, yeah, looking good. I don't know about the armor changes, if there are any. If there's any changes. I'm not sure if these things were already on here or not. I think they're new, and I've recently learned that these things are actually splash guards. They protect from water splashing up into the driver's area. So that's what these things are for. So, yeah, I don't know if these were on the normal model already or not, but they're there now. Yeah, the Czechoslovakian tree we'll skip for now. That will be tomorrow. Moving over to the UK. I only have one cruiser. They've done all the cruisers from the Cruiser 1 to Cruiser 4 here. They've HD-ified them. I'm just going to show you one. For some reason the fenders are not bent on this one. I doubt a lot of people are playing these things, so that's why I'm not showing too many of them. I can show all four, but you know, they're pretty much the same thing, just slightly different. Ever so slightly, so not really interesting, but that is the cruisers. The Comet has been HD-ified as well, bent fenders and all. And we can't see the rifling in there, so yeah, it is HD. Round track wheels, yep. So, yeah, not much has changed really on this thing. A couple more scrapes and a bit more metal showing here and there. But overall, still looks roughly the same. I don't think too much changed to the model itself. The turret, I think, changed up a little bit here. I don't remember this being so clearly mounted on here. Moving on, AT-15A has been HD-ified as well, and of course the fenders have been completely fracked up. And you can also tell with the optics, you can actually see like there's a glare in the optics now. It actually reflects, and it's greenish for the optics, you know. Yeah, I don't know if much has changed. Maybe this looks a bit bigger, to be honest. I don't remember the smoke canister here. I don't remember it having 3 antennas before. Overall, looking good. Again, I've not had time to look into the armor models if anything actually changed, but I haven't seen anything pop up that anything major changed to these things, so I'm gonna assume it's mostly the same. And the Birch gun changed. Well, you know, low tier artillery, who cares? But yeah, there you have it, that changed. Moving on to the next nation, France. For France, we only have one this time around, and it is the AMX AC M48. I do actually own this thing myself. Yeah, it looks pretty good. But really, how do you bend that fender? Your track will hit everything before your fender does. Seriously? Come on, Wargaming, get your shit together. don't know about changes on this thing. It looks pretty much the same. The sensor bar looks a bit different. I'm gonna assume that they did a little bit of changes to the sensor bar, because for every HD model they've done on these French TDs, they've changed up the sensor bar here a bit. So I'm gonna assume that it looks a little bit wider than it was before, but that's just going off memory. I'm not entirely sure. The back looks gigantic as always. Yeah, overall looking good. Moving on. U.S.A, we have a couple here. The T-54E1 has gotten HDification and it's looking awesome. I really want to get this tank. I'm really excited for getting it, but I'm still quite far away from it. But yeah, thing looks amazing in HD. Really want to get one. Looks really good. Yeah. Awesome. The gun mantlet has definitely changed on this thing. It's very different from what it was before. Before it was a bit, it sort of, how do I put it? It sort of went over into the turret part more, a smoother transition. And now it's very distinctive that you have the oscillating turret part and the, part holding the turret. Well, holding the top part of the turret, the oscillating part. But yeah, looking nice. T30, oh, sorry, skipping over T29. T29 has gotten HDification as well. This sensor bar has changed up. Yeah, and I'm not entirely sure about this hatcher. It seems a little bit smaller, but yeah, look at this thing hold down. I mean, seriously, you can't even see the bloody thing. Oh man, this thing is probably gonna be even better at hold down. Woohoo! So yeah, looking nice. I did mount the top turret, right? Yeah. But yeah, this sensor bar I'm pretty sure is different. I didn't think the top turret had the sensor bar, did it? I know the stock turret did. Now the stock turret doesn't have one. Wasn't it the other way around? I don't remember, guys. It's been too long. I thought the stock turret had the sensor bar and the upgraded turret did, but maybe I'm mistaken. T30, of course, very similar model. I mean, there's very, very, very little between these. I mean, look at it. There's barely anything between them, so that's why I'm thinking that they did both of these. It's almost an identical tank. I mean, look at everything on here, like all these details. They're the same. They just reused this model, tweaked it up to be the T30 because, like, the back here is a little bit different. The turret is a bit different, but not even that much really. So yeah, very easy to HDify that one as well. Looking nice. And the M7 Priest. Bend fenders? Yep, bend fenders. Okay, it's HE. Good, moving on. Next nation. Germany. We only have one, and there's probably going to be a lot of people happy with this one. The Luchs has gotten a HDification. Fender has been dented. Track wheels definitely seem round. Well, I was going to say check the gun, but that's going to be a little bit different with this kind of caliber. Overall, I don't really see the HD difference on this tank. It looks fairly similar to what it was before. The muzzle brake looks a bit different, I think, but overall, I don't really see the HDification. I mean, don't get me wrong, I see the track wheels are actually round, and I get that it's HD, but it doesn't really look all that different. Some of them look very different in HD. This one does not. As for the Russians, we have the KV-3, which I feel like the turret is very different from what it was before. I know it had this general shape, but I don't remember it sticking out that far, and being at this kind of angle either, like that much, and having viewports on the side, I've never noticed that. Star seems to be a bit more profound now, or at least, I don't know, sticking out a bit more. Tracks looking nice and shiny. Track wheels actually round. Let's check the gun. Yep, has rifling. Check. Look, the turret looks very different. It might just be because I haven't played this thing in like 2 years, so I haven't really looked at it up close in 2 years, but it looks different. Moving on, the KV-5, and this is where things get a little bit interesting. The KV-5 was actually buffed. On most parts, you got 10 to 20 millimeters of extra armor. The only thing that hasn't changed is the rear armor. I'm not sure about the rear turret armor, if that's changed or not, but overall, pretty much every single side has about 10 millimeters more, including the big-ass weak spot. Got a little bit of a buff as well, so that's awesome. Not that it's going to be that much harder to pen the 10 extra millimeters, but still, it's nice to have. And the side of the turret got a bit of extra armor. So overall, this thing is more armored now. Woohoo! So that's awesome. Same pretty much goes for the IS-6 as well. Got a HDification here. Got a little bit of a nerf on some armor parts, but most of the armor parts actually got a buff, and I guess we can consider this as an overall buff. So looking good. Some of the angles have changed a little bit as well, a couple of degrees here and there. The top here changed up a bit. Like I think there was a bit more of a flat bit here before. That is gone now. And I'm thinking that these hatches might be a little bit more profound now than they were before, but I think they actually got upped in armor a little bit. Same goes for the driver's hatch, a little bit extra armor, possibly due to the steeper angle. Moving on to the SU-152. Well, yeah, it's a Derpinator. I mean, what are you gonna say? It looks good, has a derp gun. And that was it for the HD models. Now, let's get into the changes, because there are a lot of changes, but we're going to go through them pretty quickly. Like I said, tomorrow is going to be the more important episode where we take a look at the map and we take a look at the new Czechoslovakian tanks. So, changes to the existing tanks. A lot of penetration buffs, actually. The 100mm gun on 4 different tanks got buffed. The T-44, top gun on T-44 now has 183mm. The same goes for the T-54 prototype from 175 to 183. Woohoo! That's a really nice one. SU-100M1 went to 183. It's all the same gun, slightly different models, but all the 100mm. So, and the T-54, not the stock one, but the first upgraded. So it's a top gun from the T-44. Now also has 183mm. So that's nice to have. Object 430 goes from 1900 to 2000 HP, and all its modules got an increase of 20% in durability. The SU-122-54, the Russian TD, all modules increased by 20% the durability, and the reload time of the gun went from 9.2 to 8.8 seconds. Awesome. The T-10, also known as the IS-8 the Russian Tier 9 Heavy. Let's go to it real quick. Zip. That one. Because the T-10 might not sound familiar to everybody, because it's a new name since the last patch. And the last patch was not that long ago, so it's now called the T-10. Traverse speed of the suspension increased from 28 to 30, so it turns around a little bit faster. Dispersion on the move decreased by 5%, so it's a little bit more accurate on the move. Its crossing capability, so the terrain resistance, got buffed by about 8%. Medium terrain got buffed by 7%, and soft terrain by 4%. The 8% was on solid terrain, so that's on like roads, paved roads and stuff. So that's very nice. That basically means better acceleration. It's what it comes down to overall, and better turning speed. KV4, I actually talked about this a couple of days ago already. The KV4 is getting a buff, which I welcome very much. Here it is, KV4. So, the KV4, this gun is pretty much what everybody's going to be looking at, because, you know, final gun. As you can see, the aiming time is 2.9 seconds from 3.4 off the top of my head. Let me quickly double check that. Yeah, 3.4 seconds went to 2.9, so 0.5 seconds better aim time. That is pretty major, so I'm very happy with that. And the reload of that same gun went from 11.1 to 10.3 seconds, so again, that's about 0.8 seconds faster reload, so that's pretty major as well. Dispersion, I do believe, stayed the same. Yeah, stayed the same. And the hit points on the vehicle, on the final turret, went up from 1650 to 1700, so 50 extra hit points. Awesome. And let's go over to the SU-101. There it is. It got a new final gun instead of this being the final gun, which really wasn't a good gun. I would have gone with the 100mm here, personally. Seems like a much better gun than that one, obviously. But it now gets a new 122mm gun. Awesome. Rate of fire of 5, 258 penetration, 440 damage, 0.37 accuracy, 3.1 second aiming time. It's pretty long, it's not that accurate, but it is a big ass gun. It used to have this gun, it got removed quite a while back, like close to after this thing was introduced. That gun was removed already, but it finally got it back, which actually makes this thing quite competitive. Now, this gun isn't bad, and I'm still not entirely sure which of these guns I would prefer, but it's definitely a nice option for a bigger boom. So, moving on to the American tank. Really, phone? Really? Go away, let me record for once. Moving over to the American tanks. The M48A1 Patton is getting a turret reverse buff by 33%. But if you're using the... Excuse me, not a turret reverse. Dispersion on turret reverse. Let me say this correctly. If you're using the 105mm, which nobody is, so useless. And a penetration buff from 173 to 181 on its final gun. And also that same gun gets a aim time reduction from 2 seconds to 1.9 seconds, as well as a reload buff from 8.8 seconds to 8.35 seconds, so all round buffs. Oh no, wait, excuse me, that's on the 105mm. Seriously, who the hell uses that thing? Let me go look at that thing real quick before I say something wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's a dirt gun. The Pershing. This is the M48A1 Patton. There we go. Okay, I'm talking poop. Never mind, it's not that 105. It is the actual good 105. I was getting confused with these damn Pattons. There's so many of them. Is it this one? Yeah, I was thinking this one. But no, it's the M48 Patton. Excuse me, I'm talking garbage. Okay, let's go over that again. So, here you can see it. Better aim time, better reload, better dispersion, while your turret is reversing by 33%, so it's better at moving your turret and snapshotting, basically, is what that comes down to. So overall, a pretty big buff with this gun, so that's really nice to have. That thing really needed it. The Pattons, the American mediums, were due for a buff, and they got one. For the M26 Pershing, 180mm pen went up to 190. For the M46 Patton, same thing, 180mm to 190. The T69 from 173 to 181 penetration. The T95E2, I'm not sure what that thing is. I think it's some sort of premium or a gift, or I'm not entirely sure what that thing is, but that thing is getting a buff from 173 to 181 penetration as well. T95, the big slow doom turtle. Its durability, so basically its health, went up from 1700 to 1800, and the engine durability went up by 20%, so that's always nice to have. Now, one major buff here, the T28. You can see the thing right... Oh, no, don't want to do that. Go away. There. Actually got a hit point buff. Quite major, I have to say. I mean, wow. From 1150 to 1500 health. And the durability of the engine went up by 20% as well. T28 prototype, the other line, that one, its engine durability went up by 20% as well. Moving over to Germany, the Ferdinand got a little bit of love. The reload on the final gun on it, on the 12.8cm gun, went from 12 seconds to 11.7, very minor buff, but its hit points went up from 1200 to 1500. So that's pretty damn nice. Leopard prototype A got quite a bit of lovin'. Dispersion on the guns went down by 9 or 10% depending on which gun and which turret, so that's nice to have on halt reverse and turret reverse. The 10cm gun went from 2.3 to 2.1 second aim time, and the turret, let's see, the reload time, okay, went from 11.1 to 10.3 seconds. Always nice to have. Turret reverse got 1 degree buff as well, and dispersion on turret reverse went down by 12%, and the tank got 50%, or not 50, 50 extra hit points, so pretty good loving for the Leopard prototype there. Better gun dispersion, better aim time, better reload, and a bit more extra hit points, and a faster turret reverse speed. So that's pretty nice. Jagdtiger, holy shit, went from 1800 to 2100 hit points. Wow. That's pretty major. Tiger 2, ooh, dispersion on the gun went from 0.34 to 0.31 on the final gun, and on the second gun, it went from 0.37 to 0.35. That's pretty damn nice, wow. Good buff on the Tiger 2 there. The VK3002D turret reverse went up by 1 degree. Its terrain resistance went up by 8% on solid, 13% on medium terrain, and 8% on soft terrain. The turret reverse went from 42 to 43, so 1 degree extra turning, and the crossing capability of the final suspension also got the same amount of buffs as the first suspension I just listed. France, the ARL V39, yes, it actually got a buff, but it's just terrain resistance. But the aim speed actually went up as well, quite drastically, actually. Wow. On the 90mm, it went from 2.6 to 2.1 seconds. That is pretty major. That thing really needed a buff, and it finally got it. 2.1 seconds on that gun is really good. 2.6 seconds was really too long on that thing. The AMX M4, excuse me, got a little bit more hit points on both turrets, so a little bit more durability. 150 more hit points on the final turret. The 12T, AMX 12T, got a little bit of dispersion buff, so it's going to be a little bit more accurate, shooting on the move, and the crossing capability went up a little bit as well, so it's going to be a little bit better in the acceleration department. And dispersion on the gun decreased by 10% on the final gun. That's pretty good as well to have. AMX 1375, we're getting through this, guys. Hang in there. I know it's a lot of numbers here, and I can show you every single one, but it's just numbers, so it's not much to show you, really. I'm trying to translate this into what it actually does. AMX 1375, turret reverse speed went up from 38 to 40 degrees. That's always nice to have. Dispersion went down by 5%. Traverse speed went up from 40 to 42, so it can turn a little bit faster. Dispersion on the move went down by 10%. That's always good to have. And the same for the second suspension, and two different suspensions, so yeah. Turret reverse went, dispersion on turret reverse went down by 11 and 12% depending on which of the guns you're using, so pretty nice. The AMX 1375 is better on the move, but I much rather would have seen a reload buff on that thing, or aim buff or something. I mean, being able to shoot on the move or a little bit better acceleration is good, but I'm not sure if that's going to be enough for that tank to actually be useful. Lorraine 40T got some aim time buffs there, really nice. On the 100mm from 3 seconds to 2.5, that's a good buff. And on the 90mm it went from 2.7 to 2.3. Pretty much the same goes for the bat chat on the 100mm from 2.7 to 2.5, and the 90mm from 2.7 to 2.3 aiming time. We're almost through this, guys, just a little bit more. There's some awesome buffs coming up here, so stay tuned. China, the 121, basically better terrain passability, so a little bit of acceleration buff as it were. Gun dispersion on turret reverse by 14% buffed. That's always nice, or decrease of 14%. And the gun dispersion angle increased. It's summary gun dispersion, but that means it gets half a degree more depression. Gun depression angle increase. There we go. Sorry, I misread it. So it gets half a degree of extra depression. Woohoo! Half a degree. Well, it's something, I guess. It's not much, but it's something. The 113 is pretty similar. Terrain passability. Dispersion on the move is a little bit less by 5%. Aim time on the 122mm gun from 2.7 to 2.8 seconds. Increased. Reload went from 10.9 to 10 seconds, so your aim time decreases by 0.1 second, but your reload goes down by a little bit, by almost 1 second, so bit of a trade-off. Dispersion went from 0.36 to 0.37, so it was a little bit too accurate. But here's the kicker. Your depression goes up from 4 to 5 degrees, an actual 1 degree of depression. On the Chinese, that is actually pretty major. That's a 25% increase, so yeah, that 1 degree is quite a lot. For WZ-132, on the 100mm gun, the reload time goes from 8.5 to 8.1. On the, let's see, what is this one? Reload on the, different turret. This is so confusing the way they put this shit. Different turret, the next turret, 8.3 seconds goes to 7.7, so good buff there. And reload time on the same one, on the 100mm 60-100T gun, these damn numbers, goes from 7.9 to 7.3 seconds for reload time, so nice reload buff there. For the WZ-131, terrain passability buff, and pretty much aim time buff, reload buff, and a dispersion buff. Won't bore you with the numbers because they're not that fantastic. It's just pretty minor, but the WZ-111-111-111-114 gets a dispersion on the move buff and gets a dispersion on the move hold traverse buff by 14%, so not really much for that thing. The T-34-2 aiming time of the 100mm gun decreased from 2.9 to 2.8, not much, but hey, it's always welcome. The aiming time on the 122mm from 3.4 to 3.1, definitely nice there. Gun dispersion, not dispersion, depression, words are so similar, from 3 degrees to 5 degrees, so the T-34-2 gets a pretty major depression buff from 3 to 5 degrees. As for the premium T-34-3, goes from 3 degrees to 5 degrees, nothing else but that, so that's pretty awesome. Last one, Chiri modules, durability of modules increased by 15%. Yeah, the Chiri was super weak with its modules, so 15% buff there is very welcome. Other than that, a couple of fixes, but nothing major really. So that was it for this first part. Tomorrow we will take a look at the Czechoslovakian tree, and we'll do another one of those 10 things you wanted to know about the new Czechoslovakian tree. So I'll leave you with a very short teaser here. We'll just briefly glance over the tree, and there you have it. So thank you guys for watching. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more, please subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.